Hello. What's that? Yep.
Special meeting of the Eastpointe Planning Commission to order. Would the secretary please call the roll?
Mrs. Hall Rayford?
Here.
Mr. Stokes?
Here.
Ms. Naylor?
Here.
Ms. Jelinski here. Vice Chair Sasek?
Here. All right, next we will go into approval of the agenda. Would somebody like to make a motion?
I'll motion to approve the agenda.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
The motion was made by Commissioner Stokes, seconded by Commissioner Hall Rayford. Secretary, please call the roll.
Mr. Stokes?
Yes.
Mrs. Hall Rayford?
Yes.
Ms. Naylor?
Yes.
Ms. Jelinski, yes. Vice Chair Sasek?
Yes. Next, under new business, we will go to the action plan objective worksheet. And
Mr. Chair, if I may, real quick before you start, I know that the consultants cannot see, but our new deputy building official is here. This is Carlton Whitsett. So he brings incredible expertise and experience and credentials. So we're really, really glad that he decided to come with us. And I think this is going to be a team to be reckoned with. So I just wanted to introduce him. Thank you.
thank you. Welcome to the city of Eastpointe. We're happy to have you.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, do we want to turn it over to the planners at this point, or?
Jonathan, yes.
Okay. It's your call.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you all so much for having us back today. I thought maybe you would lock the doors after last time, but we're happy to be back with you. Thanks for having us. It is August today, so we are here to give kind of our monthly update. If you'll remember, last time, of course, we did a little bit of visioning and just kind of talking about expectations and our approach, general approach to the master plan and economic development strategic plan. And today we are going to follow up on some of the homework that we gave you that, again, I want to make sure I'm clear that Kim made us give you after our last meeting. We gave you some homework. And so what we're going to do today is we're going to go ahead and go through some of the implementation, in fact, all, I think, of the implementation steps that are in the last master plan. I do want to say quickly before we do this, this is not the only time we're going to be collecting any feedback on those action items, on those implementation steps, but we did want to kind of start this conversation with you. We have a number of interviews and stakeholder sessions where we're going to be at least exploring some of the same concepts that we're talking about today. So what I'm going to do here in just a moment is I'm going to bring up on my screen a slide deck that goes through all of those implementation steps. We're going to go through each of them. I'll read each one that's on the slide, and then I'm going to, at the end of each slide, going to pass it back to the group, and we're going to ask which of these have already been accomplished, which are still in progress, which are still things that are yet to be started, and which of these are no longer relevant. Again, this is not the only time we're going to be collecting this information, so if you don't feel like you have a lot of experience or knowledge to talk about a specific action item or implementation step, that's okay. But we did want to bring these to you and just collect some information from you kind of about where we stand now in relation to the priorities and goals and action items that were established in the last master plan. So before I get going, and I'm going to pull my camera down and I'll put up the slide deck, any questions about what our activity is for today?
Anybody have any questions?
No. Pretty good.
Nope, we're good to go. Thank you.
All right, wonderful. Thank you so much. Give me 1 second. I think I can figure out the technology here. Okay. Can everybody see the slide deck? Yes?
It's loading.
Oh, really? Okay. Still nothing? There we go. Got it. Okay. Sorry about that. Not sure what took so long. Okay. So we'll go ahead and get going. So the first kind of area, the focus area that we're going to look at today is neighborhoods. We have a kind of quote, and Aaron, just for my correction, this is the goal that was established as part of that focus area.
So leading into each of these items from the implementation matrices, I had these kind of little short statements. And so these were just those statements provided here.
Yeah. I think overall, I just want to take a second. We didn't get a chance. My colleague, Aaron Brown, was not here on the last call. This is Aaron, everybody. Aaron Brown. I know it can be confusing maybe with us both being named Aaron, but we'll figure it out if you do have questions for either of us who you're talking to. So again, this is the neighborhood section. That kind of, I don't know, executive summary, I guess, if you will, about the goals there, where we strengthen the quality of the residential character of the community by improving current neighborhoods, assuming that growth meets the needs of the community and providing convenient access to supporting activities. So we do have a couple of slides here that are focused on the neighborhoods. I'll just go ahead and read these goals just in case somebody can see the screen, read them from the screen. So first, encourage the development of housing, including apartments, townhomes, senior housing, and mixed-use housing in areas where infrastructure is available or would be provided by the development. So focus there on development of new housing, also a broad mix of housing, and focus those specifically on where infrastructure already exists or would be provided by the developer. Second, maintain and upgrade current housing stock throughout the city. Third, encourage the development of cohesive neighborhoods by facilitating rehabilitation of existing homes, encouraging the construction of new homes, and promoting the development of public improvements and open space. So with those three in front of you, and again, there was a little bit of a worksheet that maybe you had the opportunity to print out and have in front of you as well. So looking at those first three, which of these do we feel comfortable we can say has been accomplished?
I might be off base, but I had indicated that I thought the third item had been somewhat accomplished because of just the different growth that has been going on with residential housing in the city at this time. And the first two items I put were in progress, again, because of the type of development that's been looked at with PACE, the modular home, and those kind of areas that are being utilized, some of it being low cost housing. Anybody else?
I had in progress.
For the first,
Alex Stokes, I had in progress for 3 of these.
For all three? Great, thank you. Any other thoughts on these three?
I have a couple thoughts on it. I would say some of them, most of them are in progress. None of them are completed, but I separate the city into 7 different neighborhoods, which distinguish the quality of each of these 3 questions being asked, answered, or completed, or even started. And Aaron, these are probably my view of breaking the city down into historical timelines of which neighborhoods were designed, built, or are being maintained. And so there's 2 of them that I would say haven't even begun the process of the third one being rehabilitated of existing houses and facilitating a quality life in them. And it should get started, but it's probably not due to the process of household medium income that we've talked about, and then that resource to give them collective neighborhood ambition to do that. But you're right, in our our neighborhoods where we have elderlies and senior development, we see that coming. It's in process to be moved in a certain neighborhood. And then we certainly have that maintain and upgrade current housing stock. on certain neighborhoods on the far east side, you see that different structure. But I would say out of the 7 neighborhoods I have, there's probably 3 of those 7 that haven't even begun. Number 3, barely, if not at all, began. Number 2. So based on the neighborhoods, how I broke the city down in historical timelines of which they would have been built, I distinguish them a little differently.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, John. Would we say that as far as the 3 that we're looking at here, all 3, or maybe I'll put it this way, are any of the 3 that we're looking at really no longer priorities, or something that, as we think about putting together a new master plan here, would not be things that you would still want to focus on?
I would say we need to continue to focus on those to stabilize our communities as we bring new development. We need all of them.
I agree.
I would agree also that the fact that if we're looking at increased population where we've been stalled for a number of years now at the same rate of population, if we're going to increase that, then each of those would need to be addressed based on parts of the community and the growth possibility of the city.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, great. Well, I'm going to go ahead and move to the next set of neighborhoods, neighborhood action items. Unless anybody wants to stop or have any other comments on these 2. Okay. So next, we have a group of 4 here under neighborhoods again. Ensure new residential projects preserve the contextual character of the neighborhood. Next, apply the full range of incentives available to assist in the development of additional housing, including public improvements, land assembly, and financial assistance. Next, encourage the development of senior housing options for those 55 years and older to meet the needs of the growing senior population, to allow residents to, quote, age in place. And 4th, enforce property maintenance through code enforcement and the beautification committee. Of these 4, this group here, do we have, which of them could we say are either accomplished, in progress, to be started, or no longer relevant?
I said for the first one, ensuring that our neighborhoods preserve the contextual character. I think it's not quite started. Some of the developments we have is kind of changing a bit. As far as apply the full range of incentive available to assist with additional housing, including public improvements, land assembly, and financial assistance, we could definitely stand to use some more support there. Definitely think we are in progress with making sure our seniors can age in place based on some recent projects that's come before the city. And I think we're doing good with our, enforce our property maintenance through code enforcement.
Mr. Chair.
That last, what was the comment about the code enforcement?
I think it's in progress and doing very well.
Great, thank you.
If I may, I don't think the Beautification Commission is really a part of that. We actually finally have a building official and deputy that are going to enforce the code enforcement. That being said, I think one of the things that we need to do is find the resources to help people with violations be able to repair those violations. Many are seniors or don't have the income to do it. This is Kim.
Mr. Chair, and Aaron, I would add to that. I think besides the resources to accomplish those developments, I think we're missing also the manpower or the skilled players to come in and help get some of this done under the table for developing, not under the table, under the resources. There's not enough resource financially. There's not enough improvement land assemblies that will allow us to grow that population. and even putting qualified manpower on the ground to help those in that financial assistance is maybe lacking in the community at this time.
Plus, I think along with that, our ordinances need teeth too, because of the fact that a lot of businesses and residents choose to ignore a lot of the code violations because they know that we don't have code enforcement officers, and they've been able to fly under the radar. So we really need to educate our community as well.
That's very helpful feedback from all of you there. Would any other comments on these four in front of you? Preserving contextual character of neighborhoods, applying the full range of incentives to assist in the development of new housing, senior housing options, or enforcing property maintenance.
I had a question about the fourth one, preserving the contextual character of the neighborhood. Is that for each neighborhood, or are we talking about overall? I need some clarity to explain that description.
If you're addressing it to me, Mr. Chair, it would be neighborhood oriented because there's a very distinctive layout in our city of housings built in one era of time versus a second era of time, plus a fourth or third or fifth era of time. So trying to keep the contextual character is really based on that neighborhood in a smaller geographic, that it was when it was built, when it was designed in the layout of the city plans.
And I'm sorry, we were asked to identify ourselves by
Yes, we
name
were.
prior to speaking.
I will.
I'm Vice Chair Gary Sasek, and we will try to do better as we proceed.
I'm the old guy over 55.
Oh, goodness.
Of the four that are in front of us, are any of them, would anybody say any of them are either no longer relevant or maybe should not be priorities for the new master plan?
I think they all need to be in the new master plan as well.
Commissioner Naylor, agree with the chair that we should maintain this.
This is John Myers again. I would agree with it on the premise that this is not creating a new zoning map, but is creating a roadmap of how to accomplish a healthier growing community over the next 5, 10, and 15 years.
Did they want response from all of us? Mary Hall.
No, I'm sorry.
I didn't identify myself before, so I thought I'd drop that little nugget in right now.
Thank you.
Can I say, this is Carlton Whitsett, the Deputy BO, Building Official, and are we really considering conglomerating or including the commercial district with our property maintenance and enforcement? Because I know that's been a far gone conclusion that has been left out there. And I think if we have healthy neighborhoods, we've got to have the resources for these retail and this commercial too. Not just in the downtown district, but as I drive the city, there are other areas that more are deprived. And if we build those up, I think that will help too. That's more on that. Okay. All right.
I'm sorry, I don't know if that was a question for us, we couldn't really hear it, so if that was a question for us, if somebody could repeat it, please.
It's in the commercial, this is considering the commercial areas, but that's in economic development. My understanding, that's not in this portion.
Maybe it would help if he had turned his mic on, and they might be able.
It's on, I have to talk a little bit louder. Can we hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, I said that I was asking questions about the commercial districts being included in some portion of the transitions for these neighborhoods. But our understanding that is included in the economic development and not in this portion.
Yeah, so the commercial districts and transition between the commercial districts and neighborhoods would be, you said, considered in the economic development plan and in the master plan. Am I hearing that correctly?
Yes.
Yeah, so I think that the economic development strategic plan and placemaking strategy that is, we're working on kind of at the same time, right? And kind of a dual effort in these. Some of those strategies, if you think about like transitional zones or something like that around commercial districts, which I think I'm hearing, maybe you're talking a little bit about that. Things that are going to be in the economic development plan and placemaking strategy will also be represented in the master plan, but not to the same like level of maybe detail. I think the master plan will have components that align with the economic development strategic plan, but in a lot of ways, the questions you're asking, I think are going to be at least worth, kind of considering and exploring in maybe both plans. But the goal, of course, would be for the two plans to very much be in alignment with one another. And so what I think we'll see in the economic development strategic plan will also be maybe in a condensed version, also appearing in the master plan, if that answers your question.
Yes. I just don't want it shouldn't be too separate. It's going to have to intersect somewhere. So I think it really builds the neighborhoods and helps stabilize the neighborhoods when you have that infrastructure and that transition there.
Yep.
Just from my background as an architect, I just believe that.
Yeah, thank you.
There will be a link somewhere. So I appreciate it. I understand your answer.
Yeah, and I just want to say also, we're going to be looking to having some public sessions and some stakeholder engagement sessions as well when we're on the ground later next month. So again, sorry, I can't see you, but if you do want to bring some of these conversations and topics to those sessions, especially with somebody with an architectural background, we would really be excited to talk to you and hear your ideas at those as well. So hope you have the opportunity to join us for one of those sessions.
He has no choice.
Wonderful. Okay, so without, I'd be happy to move on to our next section. This is the end of neighborhoods. Anything else about the neighborhood section before we move forward?
Vice Chair Sasek, again, I don't think so. I think we can move on.
Okay, thank you so much. So then looking at the next kind of focus area that we're going to be looking at today is the community building piece. The kind of summary was in the master plan was again to continue to improve city policies and planning processes with input from appropriate stakeholders. So we also have a couple of these in the community building section, a couple of slides here. The first one has 5 of the action items. The first, develop safe and secure recreation facilities and programs that meet the needs of citizens in the community. Next, provide space for active and passive recreation and encourage site development that is sensitive to the area's built and natural environment. Third, provide incentives, and here we have as examples, density bonuses, creative design, etc., to ensure quality open space is incorporated into new development. Fourth, seek opportunities to share facilities with other public or quasi-public agencies. 5, assemble properties that create linkages connecting to interior and exterior parks for pedestrians, bicyclists, or similar uses. So among these 5, do we have any that are either kind of to be marked as accomplished, in progress, to be started, or no longer relevant?
This is Vice Chair Sasek again. In regards to most of those, the recreational has come a long way, so it's definitely in progress. They just completed a 5-year recreational master plan that I'm going to recommend that we incorporate with our citywide master plan, because I feel the two should go hand in hand. And I would also be seeking input from our recreational authority for Roseville and Eastpointe, because while we worry about the grounds and the physical aspects, they basically do all of the programming.
Sure. Yeah, thank you. Obviously, we're aware of the Parks and Rec Master Plan, and want to ensure, especially as it's a recent document, alignment, of course, with the master plan we're working on with the Parks and Rec Master Plan as well. Are there any components from the 5 that we're looking at? Again, I feel like, you know, we are seeing a lot of progress, maybe because of that or because of efforts to put together the Parks and Rec Master Plan. Do you think any of these 5 are maybe no longer relevant?
Mr. Chair, if I may.
Yes.
This is Kim. So some of our planning members may not know, but we recently received a matching grant of $350,000, so we're putting 700 something into Spindler Park. A lot of that is also, it's ADA and some of the other enhancements to the park, solar lighting. We have, of course, Civic Point that we received $1 million in our matching. It'll be a $2 million project in the DDA. And the consultants are aware of this, but just to make sure. And then Kennedy Park splash pad starts, the construction starts next week. And then we actually received another $500,000 for enhancing and adding to that too. So we've been really lucky to get money for our parks and recreation.
Absolutely.
And this is Commissioner Naylor. I think these points that we're looking at are definitely important to maintain. I don't know, it's good to hear the report on what's in progress, but I think public space and placemaking is critical to a community. I think it does provide that sense of community when there's a place that people can actively engage and go to public spaces and connect with other neighbors. So I would say to the items shown that they definitely are still relevant, and maybe more need to be started, but it seems like we're getting more of a budget for our parks and recreation, so that's a plus to the community. Thanks for sharing, Kim.
Thank you. Anybody
Move
else?
to the next.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, please don't apologize. It's your meeting. So one more slide here for the community building component. We have 6 left. First up, expand the quality and quantity of local seasonal festivals, shows, parades, and events. Second, encourage bike parking in all new and improved developments. Third, develop a local complete streets policy and support regional efforts to invest in non-motorized transportation and transit. 4, implement a transparent planning process. 5, protect historic properties that have cultural significance and/or adaptive reuse potential. And 6, develop a plan for the sale of city-owned property in concert with strategies found in the master plan and zoning ordinance, and conditioned upon following future design guidelines. So there's a lot of them there, and they're covering a lot of ground. Any that are accomplished, in progress, to be started, or no longer relevant.
This is Commissioner Naylor. Could you elaborate on implement a transparent planning process? What does that mean exactly? And who would be accountable for maintaining the transparency? Or
I'm sorry, that's a question for us?
whomever, I don't know,
So I
Kim,
think-
if you have
so-
any.
I think this is a really critical thing, and one of the things that really is really important in all aspects of planning. One of the things that we really want to focus on is, first off, I think having these monthly check-ins with you is part of this, the transparency that we want to bring to this, but we also want to make sure that it's not just the planning commission and it's not just the consultants and Kim and John who are part of this process, but that we do have opportunities, lots of opportunities to provide updates to the public about the information that we're collecting, about the process and progress that we're making on this plan, but also to collect information from them. So we have multiple public engagement events. We have stakeholder workshops and interviews, hopefully people who will be kind of representative of community organizations or different aspects of the community. And we also have a big survey that we're going to be releasing as well, hoping for very wide distribution and a really great response on that to make sure that everybody has an opportunity to not only participate in our process and share their thoughts, but really as a huge part of that is also making sure that the community knows that we're there, the work that we're working on. Sometimes what you will find, and something we want to very actively work against, is that we'll get to the end of a process like this and we hear feedback. Well, I didn't know any of this was going on. Nobody asked me my thoughts or anything like that. It can be difficult and challenging to make sure that we have a presence and people see what we are working on and the importance of the work we're doing. But that is really a primary kind of function and thing that we want to make sure that we're doing. So I know we've been spending a lot of time with Juanita, who I saw a little bit earlier, hi Juanita, about making sure that not only do we have the opportunity for people to participate, but that people are also aware of the process, aware of what we're working on as well. And just to add one other piece to that, to talk about the survey, which again, we hope for a very wide distribution and great response to. One of the things that we do while the survey is open is we try to monitor the responses that we're getting, not for the content of them exactly. Of course, we'll process those once the survey is closed, but we like to kind of monitor the self-reported demographic information on the survey. So for example, we're going to ask, we don't have a final version of the survey yet, we're working on drafts right now, but one of the things we are very likely to ask, let me say this, and we certainly have asked in other communities as part of our survey, we'll collect information on the age of people in the household. We'll collect information, if people are willing to provide it to us, about household income, or rent versus own, or a variety of demographic information. And then we want to, at various times while the survey is open, pull down that data and match it to the overall demographics of the city. And that can help us to understand where there might be some gaps. Maybe we aren't reaching just 18 to 24-year-olds, or maybe we have a low response rate from individuals who are, renting households or at different income levels. And so once we see where there might be gaps in the general distribution of demographics across the city, if there are huge gaps in some of those areas, we'll try to think about specific distribution tactics that will help us target and maybe fill in some of those gaps. Now that might be relying on some of our partners, community organizations. Maybe it's thinking about maybe we need to have paper surveys available at the library, for example, or maybe we need to even do something like put a mailer, in the mail with a QR code if response rates are low. So we've done a lot of those things over the years. We have a lot of different kind of tactics and ways we might want to think about approaching those different gaps as they potentially could occur in our response rates. And so we're really focused on making sure that while we might not have a perfect representative sample or anything like that of the community, what we want to do is have high response rates and then try to make sure that there aren't any glaring or noticeable gaps in the demographics of survey takers as compared to the demographics of the community. So that's one of the ways we want to make sure not only we're being transparent, but we're also hearing and collecting information from a wide swath of community members.
And if I can,
yeah, Erin, please.
sorry, just gonna hop in here. So I think one of our goals when thinking about putting together this new master plan is to really focus on things that are kind of actionable for you all. And so to your question, what does implement a transparent planning process mean? I think we would want to, if this was something that we were going to include as part of the implementation matrix for this upcoming master plan, we would go on to kind of further define that, right? Like, does that mean, participating in a certain number of like outreach events? Does that mean, like, how are we defining that? So I think if this was something we were going to include, kind of we would try to go, I guess the next step further to help you all, ensure that that is happening as we have designed it in the master plan.
Thank you.
Does that help answer your question? at
Yes,
all?
it did, thank you.
Okay, great. Yeah, you're welcome. Anything else when we think about these? Yeah, please.
I'm sorry, this is Commissioner Sasek again. I also feel that sources that we should involve along with the process would be PACE, the Chamber of Commerce, because again, they're gonna know what their needs are and what their plans for the future within the community are. So they should be, I would feel, an active part of the process, whether it's steering committee members or just involved, but we should really work to get their input as well.
Yeah, undoubtedly. Thank you. So we are having a specific focus group, and we're going to be there next month, targeted very much at the economic development components of this. And of course, that will include the chamber, employers, business owners as well. So there's going to be a kind of a really large effort, very specifically focused on the business community and, of course, the commercial districts as we think about them. So thanks for bringing that up. I think that's absolutely critical and certainly something that we're going to spend a lot of time talking specifically to a lot of those stakeholders.
Mr. Chair, if I may.
Yes.
As it relates to transparent, we have provided the consultants with, I think, most of these, the Andaries, Villa, Cloverleaf, Gerones. I have some more to add to the project, but definitely the businesses that are committed here. We have included Chamber, the county, some of our state contacts, different things. I could probably pull the list down, but and share it, but anybody else that this commission thinks should be involved, please let us know. You guys are all on the list, by the way. Moving from that, no choice. As it relates to historic properties, we really only have the schoolhouse. So I don't know, but I leave that to Planning Commission. And to update is sale of city-owned property. Recent federal court decisions have really changed or eliminated the ability of municipalities to purchase tax foreclosed properties, so as to restrict speculators and really have a voice in who can buy the properties, whether it's houses or commercial property. We've been working closely with Community Housing Network and with Habitat, but I don't know, we do have a policy for city-owned property, but I don't know that it's something we could even address for the next couple of years due to the pending litigation.
Thank you.
Commissioner Nail again, on that topic, Kim, that would, also, do we have a lot of like commercial, we have some, abandoned commercial properties you see on the corridors? Any of those state-owned or, city-owned, or are those pretty much just all?
Right now, we have a registry. This is John Myers, building official. Right now, we have over 200 vacated business parcels in the city. And we're right now collecting how many more over that we have. And most of them are all privately owned.
Okay.
And what we have to do is find a way to release those private-owned properties so that we would have the ability or the resources back into the combination of residential and commercial building, that we can develop that land in the same strategy found in the master plan, zoning and ordinances, with modern future design guidelines. We need to get that under control.
Commissioner Naylor, that's a really good question, because yes, we do have an issue with vacant commercial properties, and council is aware of that, and Mr. Myers is proposing some changes to the ordinance to incentivize people to move their properties along, because we have, residential, we have someone who owns a house because they use it once in a while for a picnic. We have people storing their cars in storefront properties. We have someone who's using bought a commercial property because it's cheaper and better than a P.O. box. So that's something that that Mr. Myers is really working on. Everything got tabled, so maybe in the next couple of weeks, it's something to, if you, of course, you guys that are builders and developers that have ideas, but our vacant properties might be that might be a better topic for all of this, is vacant commercial and vacant residential that may be in code, but it's just sitting there.
Yeah, I think they should, they both need to apply with our master plan, with our residentials complying with neighborhood standards, et cetera. The commercials, we may have to think of some of those incentives. I know one of the things they did was if they collectively went in maybe to, reface the front of their stores to update them, it might give them a chance maybe get some new tenants, because some of them are kind of dated in the appearance. But again, that goes back to our resources and finding those resources to do those things. Right. But they were, I know they did find resources for that, where they did that, and like the owner might pay 25% or 75%, but if they got like 5 or 6 other businesses in a certain area, they could maybe drop that down to like only anywhere from 25,000 to 50,000 contributions. So we might look at some other things to incentivize our owners to move forward as the city is planning to move forward. Thank you.
This is John Myers again. We, in the same line of sales of city-owned properties, it's the incentivizing, getting them back into our hands, getting the owners to have a value. It's what we've been talking about. I've just ran across, I should say, 2 historical housing stocks that's been in the city that has been unoccupied since 2011, because the owner now doesn't want to share the backyard with anybody but himself. And so it's such a large backyard, he's refused to put this historically designed, architecturally amazing house on the market. But we need to find a way to incentive the use of a property like this, that it could bring the categories that you're describing here about encouraging bike parking and completing street policies for non-motorized transit. Those would be ideal, but we're locked in. So we now need to find the strategy in our master plan and our development of getting these city development properties back available to the society that we live in.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry.
Okay, we'll go ahead and move on. I know we're running a little bit out of time here, but we do have the business and industrial, which I think is the largest section here today. So we'll try to get through this one, and then I know that, if we have to kind of finish up at our next meeting, maybe that's an option. I don't want to take up too much extra of your time today. So the kind of summary here was to create an environment that is conducive to development, redevelopment, and the growth of businesses, support existing business districts with appropriately sited and attractively designed trail, service, and entertainment establishments. And this will be really kind of interesting to hear what we think about some of these. So the first 4 here, I think we have 4 of these slides. Maintain and promote the redevelopment, rehabilitation, and adaptive reuse of existing commercial sites and buildings within existing business districts. Second, revise signage design standards to ensure future uniformity and architectural character based on each district. 3, capitalize on existing assets and activity centers by creating or expanding mixed-use districts. And 4, increase communication between Eastpointe and its business community chamber and DDA. Are any of these either accomplished, in progress, to be started, or no longer relevant?
This is Commissioner Sasek again. Mr. Myers, can you enlighten us in this?
Probably. This is, again, back to the lack of productive business strategy per business district. We've just kind of collectively put it together without distinctive overlays based on the neighborhood in which the business district might be relocated. And so that's what's wiping out some of these. We saw pictures earlier today about needing new pictures for plazas that are just out marketed, aren't registered. The signage issue in the city is deplorable at its best description, if I could be kind in saying that. We have historical signs that haven't been used, but they're still in place. We have designs and that, so the question of getting started and moving forward is essential, but I'm looking forward to seeing the business and industrial actually meet the neighborhood that they live in. If I can say what we see on the east side, the east side of 10 Mile should be different than what we see on the west side of 10 Mile in businesses because of the neighborhoods that are developed and operating in those versus what we would see in the DDA district versus some of the sections on 9 Mile. Just as it's changing for the neighborhoods, it should be changing for our business usage. And that's what I think is wonderful. There's very few, but there are some north sides of Gratiot that has some mixed-use business districts, but they're not being published, they're not being advertised, and they're not being maximized. So between here and 10 Mile, you'll see some of those mixed-use buildings, but really we're not really exploiting the use and opportunity that we have available to us.
This is Commissioner Sasek again. I think the Kelly corridor would be an ideal spot to be concentrating on too, because it's a wonderful mix of residential, business, green space, and I think it could be developed into something even more appealing to surrounding communities as well as our own community.
Agreed, very much so. It could increase a business structure that we have missing from about where's the house just put up? Topher North. There's a lot more that we could add to that section with all the business and all the housing that we have there.
So Commissioner Rayford, my name is too long. I forget who I am. With regard to attempting to synchronize building facades or whatever, are we talking about resources to be found for the current businesses if that were going to be relevant for instance, Kelly? Because I think sometimes when we see buildings that look similar, there's some sort of symmetry with the facades of the building. It makes everything a little more appealing. But I don't know how we could do that with existing businesses if they don't have the resources to do it. And how would we go about trying to find it?
Again, I think that's part of that roadmap that needs manpower, needs resources, financial resources in the strategic planning for the development in the next 5-year plan. It can't be just dreamed of. It has to be strategically built into the program. And I'm still voting for a zip line across Gratiot just for easy access. So that's my vote for a new modern day, what did sign say, creative expansion mixed use. We can come from the apartment right across Gratiot to Cloverleaf right for lunch on a zip line. It wouldn't have to worry about traffic.
That would be interesting. Commissioner
I love
Rayford
this
again.
innovative thinking, John.
Commissioner Rayford again. Could you clarify increased communication between Eastpointe and the chamber, that last one up there? What type of communication are you referencing?
Mr. Chair, if I may,
you know, this is-
sorry, Aaron, if I.
Yes, no, please. Yeah.
I think that, again, being something from the former plan, that the city and the chamber and the DDA have done an incredible job starting to communicate, not even starting, they are communicating.
Right.
Everything's being coordinated, and not just in the DDA, but the business community and the chamber in terms of new businesses coming in, and do they have their business license? Are they ready for a grand opening? We've had a number of, businesses ready for grand opening according to themselves, and then chamber says, no, the city says you don't have everything you need, so let's work to get this accomplished so that you can have this event on time.
Thank you.
Okay, so to look at the next three here under business and industrial, first up, undertake streetscape improvements within the business districts to create cohesive districts that residents and visitors recognize as district areas with elements of green design and low impact development in parentheses. Second, develop a zoning district or overlay district for 9 Mile Road corridor to proactively encourage redevelopment that is consistent with the local commercial and neighborhood mixed use designation on the future land use map. And third, work with county, state, and federal agencies to identify programs and offer incentives to businesses looking to establish within Eastpointe. Any of these accomplished, in progress, to be started, or no longer relevant?
This is Commissioner Naylor. I would say we definitely need to be starting all of those bullet points if we're not. I know Kim stepped away for a minute. I think undertaking this, the top one, the streetscape improvement within the business district. We've often talked about like the 9 Mile Gratiot, how much more appealing that could look. Oh, I'm sorry, Kim, I didn't see you behind the thing, sorry. I just saw the mic there sitting. If we like took the rope street lights down, look more like a 9 Mile and where the lights are coming from a post, it just makes for a more modernistic look. So I would say that's to be started. And then developing a zoning or overlay at, the 9 Mile corridor. We definitely need to do something there. I think 9 Mile is just enriched with, automotive type businesses. And I don't say that lightly, it's just like you can get anything you fixed on 9 Mile. But yeah, I think we should, definitely need to be starting something there for our master plan. So any new thing that could be, maybe some, mixed use destination or building on top of existing buildings. Some housing with commercial open in the front. So I think that could really be ideal for our 9 Mile, and it's definitely in our 9 Mile Gratiot intersection. And of course, it relies on bullet number 3, finding some of those incentives.
Anybody else?
Just as a newcomer, this is Carlton, deputy building official. The south side of 9 Mile, I was introduced to that, and let's not forget that. That needs to be a priority. Small businesses are there. I talked to a couple business owners today, and they're thinking of, they've been there like 10 years, 12 years, and they're thinking of closing because it's just trying to maintain. And you can tell those very nice people, they take stock in their business, but they might be on the lower end of resources to be able to do some things in that area. And most of them, that area, I know I think there's 10 miles of schools, but it's a heavily dense neighborhood, and you don't want it dropping off, which that's what I see currently when I drive down. It just declines as you go towards Warren. And I think that should be very much looked at to be included as a priority and not drop off.
This is John Myers. Adding to Carlton's concepts, it's back to the last page we were at. It's about this communication skills. Part of the communication, and some of you on the commission know, it's about developing the knowledge they need to even run small mom and pop businesses, and the development of communications between the DDA resourcing and the chamber resourcing and collectively gathering it. And even at that communication bridge that you were asking about originally, it won't be only as important for these small businesses on 9 Mile to learn about what's happening to develop the 5-year plan, but more importantly, how to implement it over the next 1, 2, 3, 4 years, and that they're highly involved in the communication gap that may be done in the implementation of the 5-year plan, more than only the development of it.
Thank you.
And another 4 here on business and industrial. Develop and maintain an inventory of all vacant properties. We talked a little bit about this already. And evaluate and prioritize redevelopment depending on location, size, future land use, and potential revenue generation. Next, encourage innovative design consistent with smart growth principles, including mixture of uses in large multi-parcel development projects. Third, market the unique attributes of the city as a means of attracting new and retaining existing businesses, including location. And 4, promote retail, office, and mixed-use core redevelopment at and near the intersection of 9 Mile and Gratiot Avenue. Any here we can list as accomplished, in progress, to be started, or no longer relevant.
Commissioner Naylor, I think we have some progress where we had the big boys that finally came down, and it's lending to some new development, so that we can say, but a good bit of this is to be started. It's definitely relevant to our future city, but I guess just goes back again into, finding those resources to incentivize our business to make those investments. But I think it definitely is something we would want to maintain as part of what we want to see in our master plan as the city grows. Thank you.
Commissioner Stokes, I think the point of market the unique attributes of the city as a means of attracting new and retaining existing businesses, including location, would be great to prioritize. I think that Eastpointe does have a lot of unique attributes, and I think that a focus on marketing those unique attributes, being located on Gratiot, this is a main thoroughfare. It's very close to lots of densely populated areas. It's a clean slate for a lot of different businesses, so I think that'd be good to prioritize. And I'd say that would be maybe in progress, but definitely to be started.
I agree.
Mr. Chair, if I may.
Yes.
One of the things that we did love about these consultants is that the idea that we need to rebrand. We're a family town, we're the gateway to Macomb, but I agree with Mr. Stokes that, and also Ms. Naylor, that we're not highlighting, we need to identify and highlight the city and the unique attributes. I think that's really important. As it relates to the vacant properties, yes, and prioritize redevelopment is something that we're working on, and I feel we're very behind, unfortunately, but that is critical. And again, then incentivizing some of the owners of these properties that are just sitting, whole blocks just sitting and not being used. So that's also very important.
This is John Myers. Were you suggesting more car shops? I was just kidding, sorry. In those vacant businesses.
Get your car fixed in Eastpointe. That should be a commercial, right?
Yeah.
Need to get your car.
And if I can add to the subject in point, I agree with Mr. Stokes in point one. We really need that high level of development or redevelopment of our lands and the uses of our lands. And Gratiot really, as I would have said to you before, as we are a gateway to Macomb, we will and are, whether we like it or not, a gateway to Detroit. And so that's why we get that vulnerable privilege. But number two is I think we also have an opportunity to plan, develop the including mixture of use of large and multiple parcels for developing projects. When you think of the south side of Gratiot and 8 Mile, we have some land available that could be planned for that has been really stalled and stagnated for quite some time. And we could address some innovative work being developed over the next number of years on that whole region of the city as open land that it is in a commercial district and residential combination.
This is Commissioner Sasek again. In that same vein, it would just, cleaning that corner up would change the whole outlook of entering our city as well. Mm-hmm. But we also have to consider the landlords that during the crash of 07 and 08 came in, bought up a bunch of foreclosed properties, and are quite content to sit with houses for months on end being empty and not doing anything to maintain the property, not doing anything to see that the property is being lived in and creating an environment that's appealing to the whole city. I'm sure every one of us up here can think of a few houses in our neighborhoods that have been eyesores because they're empty and nobody moving to do anything with them.
I think one of the things that you bring up, and something certainly that when we think about economic development, we think about placemaking, are the kind of gateways, right? The kind of opportunities to kind of create, I think, to the point here about kind of marketing the unique opportunities and the unique location that Eastpointe has. I think gateways to the city are going to be a really kind of important thing to think about. We can simultaneously kind of establish, that sense of place, so people know when they're in Eastpointe as opposed to when they're just outside or something like that. But also, create a little bit of kind of excitement. And part of that is thinking about, we've talked a little bit about vacant properties. We've heard a lot in these two sessions now about kind of some of the long-term impacts from the financial crisis in 08, 09, and, the ways that kind of a lot of that has continued to shape or kind of stagnate in a lot of ways, some things about Eastpointe. So some of these are tricky problems to solve, but certainly ones we want to think a lot about. And we're excited to kind of also think about those things as well. But I do think those gateways to those cities, those opportunities to do that can go a long way to accomplishing a number of these goals that we're thinking about.
So it is 7:03. Do we want to pause here and pick it up at the next meeting? Or would the commission prefer to cover a few more areas?
Did we complete this section? Were there more bullets on the business and industrial? Was that it? Might be a good stopping point then.
Okay, so I have a number of them. We'll try to move somewhat quickly through business and industrial. I'm sorry, was that the decision? Or do we need that? I can pause.
Yes, if that's agreeable with everybody.
Sure.
Okay, great. So I'll try to move quickly because there are a number of slides here, I think at least 3, but with only a couple, 1 or 2 or 3 on each slide. Allow for denser development of office uses to create a critical mass of knowledge workers. Second, permit retail and office expansion or redevelopment into adjacent residential parcels that are no longer viably used for residences. There's a lot going on in this one, so let me read that again. So to permit retail and office expansion or redevelopment into adjacent residential parcels that are no longer viably used for residences. And third, develop the downtown by providing businesses with incentives such as streetscape improvements, low interest rate loans for facade improvements, create public parking and annual events. I think a lot of these in this third one here are kind of things that we're seeing again that maybe have been brought up in a couple of the other action items. Anything here that feels accomplished, in progress, to be started, or no longer relevant?
I'm Commissioner Naylor, looking at the first one, allow for denser development of office use. And
Yeah.
unless there's some kind of tech center coming in, office use is not like a top priority, because we're seeing so many other cities converting that to housing. And I don't think we have a huge office area in this city, so that might be one of those things that may know of our city to do that,
Thank you. Is there some level of agreement or about the denser development of office uses? Do we think that that's still a priority, or something that maybe we should not focus so much on this round?
Yes.
And Commissioner Rayford, if we don't have the interest of other companies coming in to establish offices, and I haven't seen that to be true. Maybe I haven't seen everything, but I don't think that would be a priority at this point. And maybe some of the vacant office buildings now could be converted into something else that be a little more useful, other than cannabis.
Thank you.
This is John Myers again. In that subject, there's a number of vacant multi-story buildings, 1 or 2 story buildings that are even on Kelly that are emptied now, that would have been or could have been or could continue to go back into office space that could be dense populations in the corner of 9 and Kelly and some of those. We just vacated one under a foreclosure this last year, and it's still part of a structure. So there's a few of those, but I would agree it's probably not going to be your priority list of the city at this point. We talked about business and industrial, cleaning and balancing out the kind of businesses you have on your thoroughfares so that it becomes much more viably used to the community at large. Yeah, we need something besides fixing anything we want on 9 Mile, as it's already been stated. But yes, I think that's viable as well.
Commissioner Naylor again. Also, one of the things I've seen when I've traveled is some of these office, like the 2 and 3 story ones, are being converted to co-living, co-working spaces. And so housing upstairs, and people have shared housing and conference space in the basement. So if we have some of those on Kelly, those are some opportunities that could be bringing some, some use to that land, somewhat repurposed. I don't know what the zoning requirements would be, because it's quasi mixed use housing and it's not retail, but it is offices. But I've seen that happen, and a lot of people are looking for that type of space because so many more are working from home environments. So that's one way we could think of bringing some more density and still taking advantage of some of those abandoned properties.
And depending on which zoning you're talking about, what ends of the districts you're talking about, 9, 8, or 10, and some of those, you could be talking about that same thing as walkable, bikeable, non-motorized neighborhood, split bottom for a business, and the second being the family that runs the business living in upstairs. There are a number of those in some of these outlying edges of the city's trackable distances. You think of 9 Mile, it has a number of those past Gratiot on the west side. That would be valuable to take a parcel that turns it into office or neighborhood business and we still have residential livable, to maintain that financial instability that might come from running a business independent in its own building. I like the idea.
Mr. Chair, if I may,
Yes.
I started here just over 5 years ago, and when I got here, the city was very excited because on 9 Mile, they had the first two-story building that was, they allowed to have retail or office on the first floor and housing on the second floor. So we need a lot. We have a long way to go.
Yeah, that was, Commissioner Ulinski, that was in the prior master plan, we had implemented that exact thing that we wanted to see more of. So not a new idea, just need to, get it going forward.
Continued.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
I was going to say anything else?
All right. So the penultimate slide here, business and industrial, we have 2 action items. Recognize Kelly Road as a draw for the community and evaluate strategies for the surrounding neighborhood to capitalize on increased activity in the area, and encourage diversified industrial base by acknowledging the changing economy and permitting the growth of high technology, low impact green business and life science and knowledge-based industries. Anything here that seems accomplished, in progress, to be started, or no longer relevant?
Commissioner Naylor, it's probably a to be started. I don't recall seeing any of that in and around the city as yet. Is it still have relevance? I think so, because we all know the growth of technology and green infrastructure and renewable energies are, taking a new, lower priorities in many communities. So we may have to put some more focus on how we can incorporate that where. You're not saying that's added as Kelly, those are 2 separate bullet items, correct?
These are 2 separate bullets.
Okay, just wanted to make sure. I don't want to see a solo firm on Kelly or anything. Thank you.
Aaron, this is John Myers, you might, for the benefit of this commission, give a brief definition of your second bullet point of growth in high technology versus low impact in green business. Kind of give them what that's looking like from a planner's perspective.
Sorry, what was the definition you're looking for there, John?
The second bullet point in bold print.
Oh, the growth of the high technology, low impact green businesses?
Yeah, kind of give us a commentary of what that means in this day and age.
Sure. Well, actually, I mean, I think one of the things that actually, one of the projects that we worked with MEDC on a couple of years ago was kind of thinking about some of these knowledge-based kind of life science. We talked about, in that case, like biomedical, bioengineering, and these kinds of things. I think in general, the kinds of businesses that we talk about here are a bit of a new wave of smaller kind of engineering. They're low impact because it's a lot of kind of what do they call them? R&D, kinds of engineering firms that we worked with MEDC to try to chart the asset map for those kinds of things. They tend to be, in a lot of cases, opportunities that have a little bit, I don't want to say low overhead necessarily, I'm trying to think, but situations where there are growing kind of technology-based businesses that have a lot of focus on kind of green and innovation and these kinds of things. Like I said, we worked with MEDC trying to think about how they could expand supports for a lot of these kinds of businesses. I think they tend to be a little bit of a move away from some of the more kind of engineering and that kind of automotive engineering and those kinds of things that were popular and kind of big for Detroit as they grew their economy over, decades, and a little bit more of a move into these kind of innovative engineering kinds of spaces. Is that what you're talking about, John?
That is correct. I just want to make sure that we could figure out what we're talking about when we look at that. It's part of what we have to think about, and it might be a part of our branding of 5 years down the road. When you're thinking about, we have Detroit and we have Warren to the west of us that has a lot of engineering and a lot of development and a lot of technology on both directions, but we could be a green belt in this new generation of technology in low impact if we marketed ourselves and found the facilities to do that in our development. And it would draw a young generation and a young, very creative, but as Kimberly has said, we probably don't have any start on that in this city at all at this point.
Commissioner Rayford, with the Kelly Road, Kelly Corridor, conversations that have already taken place, isn't that part of the ability, having the ability to draw the community, evaluate strategies for around that? I know there's been some talk, we've started work in that direction, but I'm not sure where we are as far as the city is concerned in following up on that partnership or collaboration with Harper Woods.
Mr. Chair, if I may, this is Kim.
Yes.
So yes, a couple of things, and as I went through this exercise, I realized that we, administration, do not do a very good job of communicating everything that's going on, unless, so Kelly Road, we did do the initial planning for the corridor. The consultants have that. I have a list of things I'm going to actually email to all of you. Sorry, you're going to be overwhelmed. And to Aaron and Aaron. Oh, actually, they already have that on their site. We continue to apply for grants to continue the next steps for Kelly Road. We've done step 1 of at least 5 that have to go, so it's nothing concrete, nothing to worry. I mean, it is, again, to continue to research it, so we have that. And then the other thing is the Stevens Road, we're working, we recently got a planning grant, again, an initial planning grant with Centerline, Warren, St. Clair Shores, is it the 4 of us, to explore the Stevens area for a bike path, different transportation. So again, this would be only step 1 in many steps, but we're really pleased that we got that from SEMCOG. So these are the kind of things that we need to do, administration, we need to do a better job of letting everybody know about. But we just got that one too, so that's a really good one.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, and this is our last one in the business and industrial. We've got 3 left here. Identify incentives and flexible mechanisms to permit the conversion of existing industrial sites to office/research use, to remediate potential brownfield contamination to make land available for development, and 3, encourage owners of industrial property to improve property appearance and provide buffering screening to protect neighboring residential properties.
Mr. Chair, if I may.
Yes.
To shorten this, I was not here for the other master plan, but we have so few industrial sites. The only brownfield we did was for the CVS in terms of incentives for financing. Ideally, we could do that for the big boy property. And again, we have our new building and officials and deputy who are working very hard on encouraging all the commercial properties to provide buffering that is required by the zoning ordinance. So I think this, personally, as a non-voting member of this group, I don't know how applicable this is, any of this. The other thing, if completely aside, we call it popcorn here in our office. one of the things that we were talking about internally is we have a couple of different properties that are sitting. The Big Boy, the former Big Boy property is now a vacant lot. Thanks to John and working with the owners to get that down. We have some, and again, I'm going to share it with planning commission members in case you didn't have it. The MEDC provided us assistance to do a whole plan and pro forma for that property. But we have a couple of different properties that it may be worthwhile to use as, okay, here's an actual example of how do we want to implement what we're looking at to make this property work as opposed to just theory. So we'll get some of that information out to you guys. There's a couple others, the same sort of thing.
If I can add to that, this is John Myers, the building official. That Big Boy's property is now brought to my table. They're looking for financial bankers to sell the property. The whole property, so maybe we would be able to find the resources to develop it ourselves, but they're ready to sell. Yeah, resident business, local business.
Thank you.
I guess I should communicate better.
Yes.
We're all learning it, right? All right, is there
Great news.
anything else?
I think we'll go ahead. I know thank you for your extra time today. We really appreciate it. If you do have any follow-ups, we have just a couple of the transportation slides. I'm looking I think we have about 4. Oh, I do want to bring up one last thing here. One moment, please. Okay, just really quickly before we go, we have begun, as we talked about, started planning for the open houses. These are going to be the kind of public engagement sessions. So we hope not only can you all attend, but bring some friends. And we're going to have some more details about the specifics that'll be going on with these as well. We do have our subject-specific focus groups are also scheduled for those same days, the 23rd and 24th of next month. Again, we're going to be focusing these 2 focus groups on housing and land use for one and economic development for the other. I think we're going to have a whole crew there in town. I think we're looking at probably 4 or maybe even 5 of us coming in since there's a lot of activities and a lot going on. We'll also be doing site tours of really the whole community, but also some specific ones for the commercial districts as well. So that's a lot to look forward to, but we will have an opportunity to touch base with you, I believe, before we're there in person. So for our next meeting, we will cover the transportation components from last master plan, but we do have some more homework for you. We asked to have you take a look at some of your neighbors, I think, master plans as well, in Harper Woods and of course Roseville. Take a look at some of their master plans, just kind of look to see how maybe they're structured as compared to maybe the master plan that we looked at before. Pull out some takeaways. What do you think is particularly effective or maybe not as effective in some of these other master plans? And then also we ask, and we'll provide a link to it as well, but also look at the RRC plan. The acronym is escaping me immediately.
This was, the intention here was the recreation plan. And as far as those master plans go, they're very long, so our expectation isn't that you read every word of them, but just kind of to gain more familiarity with, you'll look through them and you'll be, sometimes you're like, oh, I really like how this one's laid out, or this one I find difficult to navigate. Even things like that is helpful for us, kind of as we move through this process.
Yeah, there won't be a pop quiz. You won't necessarily have to have memorized anything from those plans, but always helpful when you're putting some of these together to see, some other examples of some work that's being done out there. I think some of these are somewhat recent, if I'm remembering correctly. I think more recent than the one that we just reviewed some of the action items from today. So with that, and then of course, we will, like I said, we'll touch base with you. We'll follow up maybe with some links to some of these plans so you can take a look at them and with the slides from today. Although again, you have most of that in the worksheet that was provided. Any questions, anything we can cover before we head out of here this evening?
Anybody have any questions?
Mr. Chair, if I may.
Yes.
We will work, the three of us will get all this information together and make sure it gets out to I have a long list, sorry, to the Planning Commission members and to Carlton, who's brand new. But we'll make sure we send all that out so that you guys don't have to look for anything.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. We will see you next month.
Yes, great to see you. Thanks so much. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving along, I will now open the first hearing of the public. You'll have 3 minutes. If there's anybody that would like to speak, please sign in.
Okay. Hi, Jennifer Nicholas, Eastpointe resident. Very interesting. I do agree with Ms. Holman, though. A lot of this seems theoretical. It's hard for me, for me personally, a lot of this could be condensed or more concise. A lot of these action items seem to overlap, and I think it would be easier for me, but, I'm not a planner, if things were more concise and better explained instead of broad theoretical things. All of these are from the current or old master plan that was done a few years ago. And, with this, a lot of things that they're talking about, we want this to be a family town and encourage families to move in, and we're supposed to be gearing housing toward families and affordable housing. And then what we came up with, or what we've come up with, just as an example, is the quadplexes at Kelly and Topfer. The last meeting that we had with TPMA, they were speaking to us about that your housing should be no more than 30% of your income. So if you're looking at like this affordable housing here, the 1-bedroom apartments at $946 a month, you would have to be making $37,840 a year. For the 2 bedrooms, which are $1376 a month, you would be needing to make $55,040 a year for it not to be burdensome to you, according to the figures that they were giving us. And from what I understand, when they were looking at the statistics for Eastpointe, rental incomes, at least back in 2023, should be around between $1,000 and $1,100, where at that point they were around $1,300. So to me, this doesn't seem affordable, and an example too, that it doesn't seem to preserve the contextual character of that specific neighborhood. Kelly Road is all brick. It's brick houses, it's brick buildings, brick retail, both sides of Kelly and going eastward. And this housing, it serves a purpose, but in my opinion, it's completely out of place for that area. It would be much better suited somewhere else in the city. So those are just thoughts that I have, going forward with the master plan, maybe getting things more specific and more concise, so there's not this broad action plan that's open to different interpretations. Thank you. Good meeting, Chairman.
All right, since there's nobody else, I will close the hearing of the public, and we will move on to commission comments. I will start with Commissioner Ulinski.
Carlton, welcome. Kim, they had it, I was going to ask about it. Where are we, how are we doing with the RRC? Are we
Thank you, we're in compliance. And we're working, continuing to work forward, but yes, we are absolutely in compliance, and the master plan is going to be a huge part of that.
Great. That's all I had.
Commissioner Stokes?
Welcome, Carlton, and I have no other comments.
Commissioner Naylor?
Of course, welcome. We're always glad to see our building department grow. I don't have any other comments. I'm hoping everyone is enjoying the remainder of their summer.
Thank you. Commissioner Rayford?
Welcome, Carlton. Good to see you. Always good to see everybody in good spirits. Because I think if I couldn't have fun here, I wouldn't be here. But I guess fun is a matter of perspective. That's it.
Mr. Myers?
I've already talked enough tonight, and I have nothing more to say.
Carlton?
Glad to be here, and I'll be here for a while. I'll be under your skin.
Excellent. Ms. Holman?
I just want to thank you all for, you guys, just an incredible conversation and the knowledge that you have and that you bring to this table and that you're expressing is just incredible. I'm so glad to be here and just a little part of this. Glad to have Carlton here. I think Carlton and John are going to be a force to be reckoned with. Different personalities, different styles, but the same beliefs and the same mission. So we are really, really looking forward to moving this department ahead. If we could just get them a couple more inspectors. Thank you.
Thank you.
I've told you before, you can deputize me.
Mr. Albert?
Thank you, Chair. Welcome, Carlton. I haven't had a chance to meet you yet, but I'm looking forward to working with you.
And I want to thank everybody. I enjoy working with all of you. And at this time, and yes, welcome, Carlton. Would somebody like to make a motion that we adjourn?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion was made by Hall Rayford, seconded by Commissioner Stokes. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay? Threw you a curve, didn't I?
100%. It's those curveballs that get you every time, unless it's a sinker.
You want to call the roll? I'll let you.
I'm good.
We are adjourned.